Well, I want the classroom to be clean, orderly, and inviting. And I'm really looking for it to be free from visual noise and distractions. I like to organize the space so that the materials and supplies that I need for teaching are within easy reach and easy to find. So I'm not wasting time, teaching time, looking for things, and then the kids are off and not focused anymore. I try to organize the physical space for movement and interaction. So I'm thinking about where my guided reading groups are going to be, where I'm going to have my whole group, where kids are going to be able to go and read independently, so that's established, and then it stays that way most of the year unless there's a problem. I try to organize the space for I already said that, movement and interaction. So when kids are moving around the room to get what they need, they're not getting in each other's way. When we're lining up to leave the room for prep time, there's space so they're not all one on top of the other, so there's not the behavior issues. I also try to keep the materials for students organized and in a central location that's easy for them to find what they need and keep things in order so that they have what they need, and they don't have to waste time looking for supplies. For example, one little thing I do is I leave Kleenex all over the room, so they're not traipsing across the room, taking a little motor break just to look for Kleenex. I also designate spaces not only for supplies, but I've got a space for where they check in the morning and they have everything they need for morning check-in, or their reference materials are all in one spot, or all the things they need for math games or whatever might be in another spot, so they know where to find things. I also try to make sure that my spaces are set up so that wherever I might be in the room, my back is not to the kids. So if I'm in a guided group, I can see all the rest of the kids in the class. If I'm at my desk, if I'm working with individual students. Yeah. I do at the beginning of the year is the kids establish a set of personal goals for themselves. So then we go from that to a classroom list of rules. We call it a classroom commitment to each other. What we're going to do or how we're going to behave in the classroom so that we achieve those goals. So that's established right away, and then from there everything else kind of spins off. Like we talk about, during guided reading group, what do students need to be doing during that time so that we can all do what we need to do? What is the teacher going to be doing? And then we put together an anchor chart which stays up in the room all year, and we refer to that all the time. Something like I have an anchor chart for what do you do during independent reading? What does that look like? The kids talk about what real reading looks like, and they call it fake reading or pretend reading. And we keep that up all year so that we can refer to that. So everything we do kind of spins off our ultimate goal of what do we want this room to be like, and how do we want it to feel so that we can get our job done. Priority routines for me are all about transitions. That's my preference or thing I want to start with, because that's how we kind of achieve that respectful environment, whether it's kids transitioning from their small group rotations coming up to me, what are the expectations, to lining up to go somewhere, to just how do you check out to go to the bathroom, how do you make your own personal transitions, and how do we make group transitions. That just kind of lends itself to a smooth day for all of us. So that's my priority, working on transitions right away, and practice, and referring back all year long, reminding kids about what it looks like when they start to slip a little bit, or I start to, they'll remind you if you're not following the routine too, and it's like, oops, yep, because it works. I notice usually when kids aren't doing what they need to do, and things aren't going smoothly, or there's some conflicts between kids, then I know something needs to change, whether it's reviewing words, a new set of expectations, sometimes even just moving furniture around the room and finding a different place for things, because I can see areas are too congested and it's causing problems and conflicts. So otherwise my room stays pretty much the way it is when we start, but every year it's different because the kids are different. I might have more kids that year, so I think about how can I arrange the desks so kids aren't feeling like they're on top of each other. That's another thing I really consciously think of, is I want them to feel like they have their personal space in the room, and they they don't have to sit on top of each other all the time. So if that's happening, then I know there's something that needs to change with the way things are set up in the room. I just think all of those things I talked about, agreeing on how we're going to go about our day every day, and what our goals are. Why are we here? So then what can we do to make sure that those things happen? And then giving the kids the opportunity to give me feedback if they think something isn't going well. Morning meeting really helps with that, because we talk a lot about our day, or if we had a problem the day before, or if something's going on in the lunchroom, how can we address that? I've even had kids talk about things that are happening with students in other classrooms that's bothering them, and then what can we do as our own classroom to help that situation. We talk a lot about what happens here, what kids share here, stays here. For sure tell your parents about it, but we need to feel free that we can talk about problems and issues and things that are bothering us to each other, and try to solve those problems. We refer all year long to our goals, our commitment to each other chart, all of those things to help us have a culture of learning. And we talk a lot about goals all the time. What is our goal? How are we achieving our goal this week? Maybe it's just moving up a different level in reading or something, but talking about those things all the time. Why are we here? And is what we're doing helping us achieve that? I really work to establish a climate where kids feel safe in the room, and that they have a voice, that they'll be listened to by me and by the other students, and that they will be respected. So I want them to feel like they can talk about problems or things that are important to them, and that others will listen respectfully, that not everybody will agree with them, and they might even voice that, and that's okay, that's respectful. So other people have opinions, but that they do feel throughout the day they can talk to us about anything. Kids talk about issues, with other adults in the building, and we talk about how do we handle that you still need to be respectful to those adults. You may not agree, and talk to somebody that you think can help you with that, and then we'll deal with it. So I think they feel they're listened to, and that the rest of us, morning meeting again is really great for that, because kids can talk about their interests, and other kids can make connections, and other kids will sometimes be in awe of, oh, you do that or you do this. It's a climate of rapport, I guess, and respect. When I receive new learning, I think about how I can apply it to what I already do, or if it will fill a gap that I have in curriculum that I already have. You may have noticed that I'm kind of a 3-ring binder kind of gal. So I have a place in my room where I kind of put things new information that I get, and then as soon as I can, if I feel like I'm going to implement it, I try to organize it right away. Think about how I'm going to use it, how best to organize it. I usually end up tweaking that, but I try to get it into a binder, folder, a space where I have it and I can label it, and then I know I can grab it, reorganize it, use it, whatever. If it's something like I'm using SillaSearch right now, and it has a ton of cards to run off. Well, I run them off right away and get them organized, so that if I don't need them, when I need them, they're there. I don't have to be scrambling around trying to get things ready. So that's pretty much what I do. With students, if I've got something new, I'm usually excited about it. So I'll tell the kids, I learned something really great last week. I want to try it out on you and see what you think. So I get feedback from them too. I want them to kind of feel a part of my decision too. Like in math, I've told my kids, oh, I feel like we're really struggling with fractions, and I have this new program that I learned about in Summer Institute. So I'll talk to them about it and tell them, and they feel like they're part of it. They kind of want to make it work for you, so they buy into it, I guess. Yeah.
Randy, you spoke about your 3-ring binders. Can you tell us a little bit more about those? How you organize them?
Oh, well, silly things like if I've got math, I have all my binder, what would you call spines? They all are like similar colors, so math is maybe all orange, and then I just have them on my shelf, and it's easy to put them back because I put the orange with the orange, and I know orange is math, benchmark is green, whatever. In 5th grade, we've kind of established colors for every subject. So blue is social studies, green is science, whatever. So I try to go by that too. If I have different subjects, I try to keep things in the same color so they're easy to find. When I run for the kids, all my math is yellow, orange. So yeah, that's how I organize my binders and even kids' papers to kind of correlate with that.